All right. So let's talk about Body Count's new album that just came out. When did it come out?
Came out March 31st of this year.
Yep. And as we all know, Body Count, the hip-hop side project of James Hetfield. I got that backwards. I think it's the thrash metal project of hip-hop artist Ice-T.
Yes, Ice-T.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I was like, which ice is it?
Yeah.
It's definitely not Vanilla Ice, as his metal album would be offensive.
It would be like Limp Bizkit.
We don't talk about it.
Anyway, Ice-T, one of the inventors of gangsta rap.
Gangster rap. It sounds so white when you say it.
Whatever. One of the inventors of gangster rap is a huge metal fan, so he had the band Body Count, and you might know them from their first single ever, Cop Killer, which came out in...
Police. Wait, hold on a second. That's NWA.
Yeah, Cop Killer in 91 or something.
Yes, it's all a very similar sort of theme, and a theme that exists thoroughly in this album, and we might as well get right into this album. It starts off with the fabulous track Civil War, which we'll listen to now.
It's already started, maybe too late to stop.
So, Erika, what'd you think of Civil War featuring Dave Mustaine? Not Marvel's Civil War featuring Dave Mustaine as Captain America, which I would totally watch.
I'd watch the crap out of that.
Anyway, what'd you think? Civil War.
Dave Mustaine did a great job in solo.
That's not the only thing he did a great job in. Did you know that intro where it's with the air raid siren and the declaration of police violence? That's Dave Mustaine reading that.
You know, that's not surprising.
Because
he's really good at sassy talking.
Well, the funny part is, I almost didn't expect it was him until I looked it up, because he opened his mouth to talk. Usually Dave Mustaine, he speaks with his lips together, because you just can't exhaust the energy to speak. But anyway, no, this is the first track of this thrashy album, and
let's start at the beginning of the song. That talking section at the beginning of the song. I felt like it was a little long.
Well, the thing is, if you have Dave Mustaine in the studio,
you make him do as much as he'll stay there for.
Honestly, I'm not even kidding. Ice-T really was like, hey, I managed to get Dave... And did you know Dave Mustaine said this was one of the most fun projects he's ever worked on?
Oh, wow.
Which is odd, because you wouldn't expect to see Dave Mustaine and Ice-T in the same room being like, yeah, let's do something together. That just seems... But maybe that's just me. I don't know.
I mean, I've it seems like Ice-T's a cool guy to hang out with from reading his Wikipedia page.
Well, yeah, and Ernie C., the guitarist on this album, is amazing. Absolutely. And he's right up there. He's not quite as good as Dave Mustaine, because very few people are. Yeah. But he does amazing on this album, even though the solo on this album is done by Dave Mustaine.
On this song.
On the song, it's done by Dave Mustaine. But this song itself, let's actually talk about it. It reminded me a lot, like I said, the air raid siren and the sort of, like, talking about, like, stuff. It reminded me a lot of the air raid siren thing, and sort of, I feel like they were doing a callback to, War Pigs, where it's sort of like, it has the air raid siren in the beginning, it's all about sort of like war and everything. So
yeah, that didn't occur to me, but that's a really good point.
Especially because he describes Black Sabbath as one of the large influences, and especially in this song, I'd say the riff is, the dun dun dun. It's very slow. It's almost rap doom metal as opposed to...
I was going to point that out. Like, especially under the verses, it's very minimalistic. Like, it's a lot of just drums.
Yeah, there's lots of, like, groove in the intro riff. It's I even wrote very drum-driven verse. And this one's a lot slower. That's why when the solo kind of appears, it's kind of odd, because Dave Mustaine's like, you have to speed up the whole song for my solo. So the riff, when it goes into the solo, is much faster, it's much more intense, and it kind of doesn't fit, in my opinion, because Ice-T's rapping is a lot like very angry talking.
Yeah, he's not one of those rappers who's just spitting word after word, so your brain has to, struggle to comprehend what he's saying. Like,
he's more telling an angry story.
Yeah, which is good, because you can really, it's nice because you can understand every word that he's saying, and you can, even if it's your first time listening to the album, you can listen to both the music and the lyrics at the same time, which is really nice.
See, so this song is good, but my problem is it feels like it sells itself on featuring Dave Mustaine, and the rest is kind of just... It's not thrashy, which Body Count says that they're thrash metal band.
And in opposition to the rest of the songs in the album, which are more thrashy, this one's a little slow. I think maybe that's good, because it's easing you into the whole metal thing, I guess. I mean,
it's their, sixth album?
That's true.
If you're not into Body Count by the sixth album, you're never going to be.
Yeah.
And there's no amount of Dave Mustaine that'll sell it. That being said, this is a good song. It's surprisingly, even though it features Dave Mustaine, it's far from the best, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's an okay song.
And speaking of
And
songs...
No, I was going to say, one more thing about this song is, do you know who was doing the, like, deep growl?
I assume it's the person who's featured later, Max Calavera of Sepultura. I assume it's just him. He's just, during the verse, he just yells, Civil. But this song doesn't say featuring, but I assume he just got Max, who appears on one extra song on the album, to just do it while he was there.
Yeah, or one of the other members of the band can pull out a sweet death metal growl, but doesn't.
I don't know why. It doesn't credit anyone, as far as I know.
Well, whoever was doing that, solid. It's a little quiet, but...
Yeah. So, I don't know. Anyway, let's move on to the next song, which is The Ski Mask Way, which we'll listen to now.
I've got no plans for getting loot legal. All black.
Alright, so, The Ski Mask Way. What you thinking?
Let's see. This song also started with a little spoken word intro.
Well, that's the thing the whole album
That's a theme
has.
throughout the album, is spoken word intros, which... we'll get to that later. Yeah, and I felt that the chorus is a little straightforward, just repeating.
I was gonna say, this song is really boring
paid.
and repetitive because the chorus is just, I gotta get paid, I gotta get paid, I gotta get paid, the ski mask way. And I'm not saying every song has a repetitive chorus, but some songs like do more with it. And the rest of the album, this song kind of feels like a letdown because it's just, I gotta get paid. And then later the bridge is, we might come visit you if you do this. We might come visit you if we do this. We might come visit you. It's just like...
Granted, that's like an audience could chant along with that.
So you're saying this is the radio hit?
I wouldn't say that, but I'm just saying, like, if, he could hold the mic out to the audience that, we'll come to visit you,
I guess. But I don't know. I just feel like... Well, because there's so many songs on this album that are much more... Like, this is probably no one's favorite song on the album, is what I'd say.
It's true. But it does introduce the like, he does characters a lot in his songs I've seen. Like, I mean, like, Cop Killer way back in the 90s, that was a character in the song, which people didn't understand. And this one is characters, too. They're robbers.
Yeah, robbers.
And he...
Oh, yeah. Speaking of the characters, this is exactly what I wanted to say, was the bridge kind of breaks the whole song for me. Because it literally stops the song to do this sort of, like, radio drama, radio play of this character robbing a bank or a store with a safe. Yeah. And he, like, goes out of his way to, like, go off the beat and to just say, like, this thing where he has other people even say, oh, hey, no, don't take me. I don't know the code to the safe. And it really interrupts the song. And it goes on, once again, way too long. He has these speaking parts that just go on way too long for a thrash metal album that's focused on speed.
The other thing about the song you're saying is kind of, like, boring and repetitive is the breakdown in it is just dun, dun, dun,
yeah, I was gonna say the verse riff is almost a metalcore chug.
It feels like it. Actually, I wrote a little chuggy.
Yeah, and that happens only like 2 or 3 times in this album that there's these really aggressively boring chug sequences.
Yeah, and this song also, like, there were solos on a lot of the songs, and the guitar, like, Ernie, the guitarist is great. Whereas the song, just had a chuggy breakdown section and no solo.
Yeah. And, well, this had no breakdown, this had no solo, and also the tone, like, it was not metal at all. It was very rock, I would say. It had a lot more mids to it. It was just very sort of, like, I don't know, the song is, like, the okayest song on the album. It's not bad. This is a very good song. It's just, there's too much getting in the way. There's too much of a point he's trying to prove, I guess, with this character story.
I feel like, well, we'll
get into it.
But that's a recurring problem, I think.
No, but I feel like, especially with this next song, he really gets past that. So let's talk about the next song, which is This Is Why We Ride. All right. So Erika, what did you think of This Is Why We Ride?
I generally liked it. It's the This Is Where I Come From song, where Ice-T is explaining his background, and for especially people who aren't used to, like, metalheads who maybe aren't used to listening to it's a more rap influenced song, I feel like, because that's kind of a topic brought up a lot in rap music, is I come from the streets sort of.
Well, that's actually what I would get into a negative sort of thing, is this whole album is, I come from the streets, look at how bad it is for me. And by your 6th, like think of that first album you mentioned where it's like Cop Killer. If you haven't evolved your theme at all, 5 albums later after the first one, into I'm so down and beat up, then I feel like there's a lot more. And this song and the last 2 songs.
I think that he's seeing that this is still a problem. People aren't thinking enough about it. I think he sees that as the issue and that he needs to keep speaking out in his music.
Well, he certainly does in this album because every song has the same topic. That being said in advance,
I don't know if that's true. I'd say the songs have one of two topics, either the political, like, from, like, the crime and, like, violence route, or the personal. Like, it's all a theme of, like, violence and crime, I guess, but it's either from the personal or the political
I
side
guess
of
that's
it.
true. But let's go back to the song itself, its structure. You know, I would say that it starts off almost with this sort of, like, melodic metalish start where it's like da na 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 na.
Which I really like how the verse is kind of, like, soft, almost like the, like...
I see, I actually had a problem with that. The verse has almost no music in it. The verse is mostly just him talking. And it's kind of really boring, especially because the Ski Mask Way, even though it was very repetitive, it had some pump up to it. But then the verse of this song, literally, it's just almost empty. Mm-hmm. It has the symphonic metal problem.
I wrote interestingly unheavy for the subject.
Exactly. But then it suddenly changes. And like I said, that's why it has the symphonic metal problem, which is like a verse that's like basically just harp and a person singing, which I would say this is the thrash metal equivalent of. Yeah. And then the chorus just is awesome.
Yeah, he's like, "This is why we ride."
And then it's like, it's so
then the double
good.
Kicks come in, and the like thrashy riff comes in, and the sirens come in, and it's like, whoa, this
sirens,
is great.
Gunshot noises. It's got the energy, it's got the aggression, it's got the anger, but like the political sort of anger that thrash metal usually has. Is if you think of bands like Megadeth and Metallica and Creator and all them, it has that same energy.
Slayer,
yeah, Slayer, exactly. It had like this chorus, which there's no words. It's literally like
the words are "This is why we ride," and then
"This is why we ride," and then I would say the police sirens are the words in a sort of like message kind of way, because this whole album is politically charged, 100%. But except the
and there's a theme in this song and in other songs of like we can't depend on the police to help us as underprivileged folks, you know. Now
I will say the bridge is more in line with the verse. It's very slow. It's got that almost like that Metallica sort of like wavery acoustic clean guitar.
What I liked about the bridge though is that over time there was like a guitar solo underneath.
No, yeah, the guitar solo was under his bridge verse. And the guitar solo, for some reason, it made me think of Bon Jovi. It's so classic, sort of classic to glammy rock. Like if you go listen to it again, and then I said to myself, okay, what would happen if I took the verse, the soft verse, or the chorus, I forget which part it is, and I sang, you know, I'm a cowboy on a steel horse. It fits perfectly. Seriously, do it yourself. On a steel horse I ride, I'm wanted, dead or alive. And I thought, like, the steel horse I ride, I'm wanted, dead or alive, is totally the message of this song, too.
That'd be a sweet mashup.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, and like, this is why we ride, and like I said, it has that very classic rock solo, in my opinion. It's very sort of, like, bluesy and slow.
I wanted that solo-y section to, like, be louder.
This is the problem, is that he speaks over the solo, and I think that was just a bad decision.
I feel like if he wanted to speak over it, there should have been more gaps in his words to like let the guitar shine through for a moment, and then he could start talking again.
Well, my thing is, there's no words in the chorus, but then he speaks over the solo, which is the most backwards, uneven, poorly timed thing ever.
But we said we liked the chorus section.
Once again,
because
the chorus
it's
is
really
great.
nicely. It's a nice instrumental section.
Honestly,
that's repeated, and it's great.
There are other songs in this album that I like more than this one, but this song has the best riff in it, and it's this chorus riff. This chorus section is the best part of the album, in my opinion.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I would lift this chorus section out and put it in another much thrashier song. I would, I don't know. Like I said, mix this with Bon Jovi's "I'm a Cowboy on a Steel Horse I Ride," dead or alive. Mix it with that song and see what happens. Yeah, but beyond that, this song is awesome. I would say this is my top 3. I really liked this one. But like I said, my problem with it, again, is that the verse is just... It's almost no music, and him just sort of talking, not even doing the rap metal thing. He's just talking.
Well, because I think, like... And I said this about a couple songs, is that, like, sometimes the, like, musicality gets a little lost in the message. Because he's trying so hard to get his message across that... He almost kind of forgets that this is a song and not just a speech sometimes.
Yeah. So, in the end, once again, I think this song is great. It's probably one of my favorites, but it gets bogged down in the message. So, the next song is...
All Love Is Lost.
All Love Is Lost, which we'll talk about in a minute after you play it.
All love is lost. Now you have the nerve.
So, All Love Is Lost. I'm just going to start off by saying this is my number 1 song for the album.
I really like this song too. This is definitely in my top 3.
Yeah, this is my absolute favorite. This is the most, in my opinion, the most metal song on the album. This is the most aggressive, it's the heaviest, I would say, song on the album.
Yeah, I wrote down just the word aggression.
Yeah, see, I wrote, like, super heavy, absolutely great, awesome. And this song features, because this song is half screaming. Growling, I guess. Not screaming, it's not metalcore. But it's half growling, and it's by Max Calavera, who started Sepultura.
He's just in Sepultura.
Oh, I guess. What am I thinking of? He started other bands that are really famous, too.
He's from Sepultura.
He's Sepultura, and anyone who listens to Sepultura knows it's super great, super heavy, awesome band.
No. And he's a great vocalist. And
his, like, All Love Is Lost, like, deep primordial anger screaming, plus Ice-T's, like, true angry rapping.
Yeah. Like Ice-T's he is yelling in a lot of this. Like, you know, he really steps up. Like, he's just talking at some points, but then he, like, so the verse in this song is 2-part verse. There's Ice-T's part of the verse, and then there's Max's part of the verse. And it really is, like, because Ice-T's kind of talking, and then he gets angrier and angrier, and then you have Max's part where he's screaming, and then the chorus where they both come in, and
you know, it's so funny that in pop music these days, there's the singer, and then the third verse is a rapper. This rap metal song, has a third verse, which is just Max Calavera by himself, just growling. And I'm like, that's the most hilarious flip. And I don't know if it's purposefully ironic that he has the third verse growl in a rap.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do that purposefully ironically. If I would believe Ice-T totally did it ironically. But also,
or it might have just been that's how he thought it should go with the song.
It's just a great use of a featuring artist. This song, like, perfectly, their voices blend together. It's like there's a song that
it's a beautiful duet of hate.
Put that on on the album. Beautiful duet of hate by us. No, anyway, it reminds me a lot in spirit of there's a song that they played live. I think it was Tarja and who's the girl from Arch Enemy?
Oh, fuck. I know this.
I can't remember her name. Anyway, they sing together.
Alyssa.
Alyssa Weissglass. And they sing together, and Alyssa Weissglass gets, like, the heavy rapping. Alyssa Weissglass is the rapist. The rapper. Wow, this is so bad. Alyssa Weissglass, like, gets the heavy growl underneath, and Tarja, you know, she has the big operatic voice that she uses in Nightwish and her own solo stuff. And, gosh, it's just so awesome. And this is the, like, angry street version of that, and it's so good, and that's why this is my favorite on the album.
Yeah, another thing I love about this song is, like, so a lot of these songs are political and, like, more step away and are more, like, talking about an issue, like, as a whole. Like, he uses the storytelling method a lot, but he usually talking about wider issues, whereas this is just one-on-one, like...
Oh, this is personal.
This is so personal, and I think it had more impact because of that, because it's just a I fucking hate you song.
Well, the thing is, this feels like totally real experience that he's had. Like, I'm guessing this is based on reality. Yeah. And two...
it's totally... There's no way it's not based on reality, because he literally says, you're my friend, like, how... Like, you did to me what I could never do to you. Like, that's so real.
Like, I want to know what... Like, if I ever had the chance to interview Ice-T, I'd specifically ask him about, like, All Love Is Lost. Tell me about that. What happened there? And I feel like Max Calavera is kind of like his internal conscience here. It's like the primordial rage we all have, and it just works so perfectly.
Yes.
And if I gush any more about this song, it'll just, you know, it'll be the worst. But like I said, this is my favorite song on the album. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's got like what I love when songs like kind of start out soft and like build up, and that's really what the verse, like each verse building up to the chorus does, and like the going to the bridge, like when the double kicks hit in the bridge, I'm like, yes.
No, yes. This song is so intense and heavy and brutal, and that's why it's my favorite on the album.
Makes me think of Slayer.
Yeah, but speaking of Slayer and things being intense, heavy, brutal, and gushing, the next song is like the most obvious choice anyone could ever get to cover a metal song if you're a thrash band. Raining Blood. And here it is now. So, yeah.
Raining blood
from a lacerated sky. Yeah, we're generic metal nerds. We like Slayer. We like Raining Blood. Wah.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really have to ask you what you think about Raining Blood.
Yeah. Well, we're not gonna talk about the song here because I think it's a universally agreed fact that Raining Blood is one of the best songs of all time. And of course, if you're a metal band, you want to cover it.
You know, and everybody knows that riff. Yeah. I want to like a completely riff. Everyone knows that riff. No.
No.
I mean, everyone also knows that riff, but
yeah, one of the most classic riffs of all time. Excellent song. And of course, like, Body Count would choose to cover it because they had just like an impromptu cover of it. There was just a video of them rehearsing, and like it like went viral a little bit, and so they decided
comparatively in the rap metal community it was huge.
And so they decided, partially based because of that, they decided to actually make a recorded version of the song, and it starts out with Ice-T talking about the influences for the band, and he says,
"Oh yeah, you get a brief history lesson at the beginning of this
I kind of like that because it's kind of a break. It's like, okay, let's take a pause from the like heavy subject matter and stuff and talk about just the band."
Well,
and so he said, I was going to go on and say that the main bands that are influences of Body Count, he said, were Black Sabbath and Suicidal Tendencies and Slayer. Of course, Slayer. You can hear that in every single song.
Oh yeah, well, especially when he specifically quotes it later. But we'll get into that. So the thing is, I feel like he did the interview in this one because like apparently he has to give a reason why they covered Slayer. Because my question is, why wouldn't you cover Slayer?
Slayer doesn't need explanation.
I will say for a metal album, having a length of 48 minutes is kind of short, especially if you feature.
It's 41 minutes.
41?
I'm pretty sure. Anyway, whatever.
It's kind of short. It's like if you're especially going to feature covers, it's kind of short. So I don't know how I felt about that. But that being said, everyone loves Raining Blood. Clearly, when you hear this, clearly Ice-T loves Raining Blood. Clearly Ernie C. loves Raining Blood. Clearly Vincent Price, which is the actual name of the bassist, which I'll post a picture of both of them here. Vincent Price, as we all know, is a very famous horror host. I don't know if he's a writer-director. I don't know what he is. But they clearly all love to death. And speaking of Vincent Price, we'll get to it in a minute, but he sings in this song, which is interesting.
Yeah, so they do, not only do they do Raining Blood, but they do Postmortem, which if you know, if you are listening to Slayer. But what I was going to bring up about that is that the way Slayer does it, Postmortem comes before Raining Blood, and then it kind of stops, and there's all the like thunder and stuff sounds, and then the riff hits. And so they do the reverse version of that, where they play Raining Blood first, and then go right into Postmortem after that. And I thought that was I don't know why they would make that choice, personally.
Well, I think it's because they didn't want to... It's interesting, because considering how short the album is, that they didn't want to, maybe extend the length a little bit by including the thunder noises.
Yeah.
But instead they do the little interview, and then they go straight into Raining Blood, which is odd, which is just an odd thing to hear, because it's like, oh yeah, and we were inspired by Slayer. Yeah, and it's very odd to hear, but it's a great cover. They take a few liberties with it, especially lyrically, because there's a word,
and it's in a different key.
Yeah, so a lot of people will hear that intro riff and they'll be like, that doesn't sound quite right.
Yeah, it's like you have to, when they play the first section of the riff, it's like, oh, my ear is not used to that, and then once your brain gets accustomed to where it is, then it's like, okay, this is a good cover.
I would say the problem with this cover is that Ice-T's talk rap voice limits the feeling of this song.
I think it works great up until the Raining Blood.
Yeah, he doesn't scream Raining Blood. That's my biggest problem. He doesn't scream Raining Blood. He just goes, Raining Blood.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
And it's like, we know he has, from the previous song, we know he has the ability to shout nicely.
He has the ability to call forth the anger.
Yeah, and it's like, you should have shouted that, but he did it the way he wants to do it.
Yeah, so, and that's what makes it odd when they finally get into Postmortem, and they have Vincent Price doing his best Tom Araya impression, sing it. And it's just like, why didn't they just either have Vincent Price do the whole thing, or have Ice-T really put it all out there?
Yeah. I think they just shouldn't have included the Postmortem section. Honestly.
I don't know. I felt like it was fun.
It was kind of fun, but I just...
You feel like it didn't
really do it for me.
Did it?
Go on.
No?
I was going to say the one other thing I liked about this cover was the solo.
Yeah.
Because the solo, it wasn't the same as Slayer's solo because you can't...
It's ad-libbed.
You just can't do that. You can't be Carrie King with Whammy Bar Chicks. Although the thing is, this solo was in the style of Slayer, but it was his own. He made it his own.
It's someone who clearly has skill and respects the style of Slayer.
Yeah.
Making it up as they go, which we saw Slayer live recently, and Gary Holt's doing that.
Yeah.
now. You know,
Gary.
sadly, Heinemann has passed.
Heinemann.
Heinemann has passed. So what else? He got bitten by a super poisonous spider, and that's metal as fudge.
Yeah.
So anyway, but in the end, I think there's not much you can say about Raining Blood because
great song. This is a solid cover that pays does it
respect,
justice.
Yeah, and that's all you can say for a guy who was inspired by Slayer, showing years later that he still loves it. I have mad respect for Ice-T and doing this cover.
Yeah, and that's a really good thing that I think should be done more often is paying respect to your... Well, lots of people pay respect to their influences in different ways, and I think, doing... Some bands release whole cover albums to do that, and so having this cover was a way to acknowledge Slayer, the great Slayer.
Just like how Metallica released their cover album.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to see Ice-T's Body Count's cover album.
Yeah.
This shows how well they could do it. Mm-hmm. And speaking of how well you can do things... Taking it back, chill a little bit after Slayer, is the next song, God Please Believe Me.
Yes.
I spent my life between the light blue lines of blue.
The soft, gentle interlude, God Please Believe Me.
Yes.
What do you think about that?
Song comes in under a minute and a half.
I wouldn't call it a song even. It's sort of a vignette.
I was going to say, in combination with Raining Blood before it, it's those two kind of make an intermission of the album. You've half one, and then these two songs that are kind of, preparing you for the second half of the album. Yeah,
this is definitely an intermission. It's the break, it's the slow, it kind of really makes it kind of brings you down so you can be brought back up, I guess. That's why it's so short. Yeah. And what's interesting is this feels like... Oh, sorry.
I would say it's almost written as an intro meant to be part of the same song as
the next
one, which is Walk With Me. And... But then it was cut up so that you didn't have to listen to this slow intro section every time, which, if you watched our Queens of the Stone Age video, we hated the 2-minute long intro that was part of the same song.
But it's still great. That being said, this on its own, even though it's a tiny little short song, you will have this song on your iPod. Even if you don't like the rap metal stuff, this in and of itself is this soft, melodic metal that he kind of... I would say it's almost a confessional. It's like we're hearing him speak truly from the heart. This is like a Tupac sort of talking about his mom. Mm-hmm. It's very sad. It's very emotional. And in that minute and a half, after Doesn't Rain Blood, where everyone's like, yeah, mosh. It's kind of like, oh.
Now we're getting personal again.
Now we're getting like really personal and sad, which I really feel like it sets up the next song very well.
Oh, it's a perfect lead into the next song. And musically, it builds up as well.
Absolutely. And it's only a minute and a half. There's not much we can say about it. So let's just talk about the next song.
Yep.
The next song is Walk With Me. Not Walk With Me. Well, we'll get to it.
We'll get to it. So, Walk With Me... ...
Yeah,
featuring Randy Blythe.
Yeah, the ... featuring Randy Blythe kind of is like a joke, I feel.
Yeah.
Because it's clearly like, I'm not sure if he was like, oh, I wrote the song Walk With Me. Oh, that seems perfect for Randy Blythe. Or if he just listened to Lamb of God, which I would totally believe he would do. Mm-hmm. And then was like, oh, okay.
I'd love to feature Randy Blythe on a song. I'm going to make it a reference.
Well, it's kind of funny, because last time we saw Slayer, we saw them with Lamb of God. Yeah. So it's really funny to see both, like, two of these heavy influences of Ice-T just before we see this new album. Mm-hmm. So I will say, that being said, Randy Blythe, I feel like he's not bringing his A game in this song. However, this is the second best song on the album.
No, I love this song also. It's, also definitely in my top 3. And, reasons I love this song. A, it just starts out this punches
song
you in the face right away.
This is another of the best riffs on the album.
Yeah, it's so thrashy. Like
there's lots of that sort of bell hi-hatty sound. Mm-hmm. There's double kicks going all the way through it. Yeah. It's riding super duper hard, and it's just.
Speaking of bells, I after the second chorus leading into the bridge, I absolutely love this because it comes to a full stop, and then the drummer's just like ding. And then...
So black metal thing to do.
Yeah. Because it's ding, and then to shredding and blast beats. And it's like, yes.
Speaking of shredding, the solo in this song might last all of 10 seconds, but it is so fast and so hard. And it really, you can see Eddie, sorry. Is it Ernie C? It's Ernie C.
Ernie C.
Because Ernie Ball... slinked.
Yeah.
You can just really feel he's just going as hard as he can, as fast as he can. And I think that's why it's so short, because he's doing a finger exercise. It's just so fast.
And this song is definitely thrashy.
This is, I would definitely say that for the verse, this is the thrashiest song on the album, which is funny because I feel if you combine this verse with the chorus of not Ski Mask Way, the one after that.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, sorry.
This is why I ride.
This is why I ride. You'd have the thrashiest, hardest song on the whole album.
Yeah, but then it would be too much. Like, I love the chorus of this song. I love how the verse is just like, ah, in your face, and then it slows down to a groove. It's like a great groove, because you're like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the groove. This is the grooviest song on the album. It's got so much. It's like halftime. It's not even halftime. It's like fourth time. It's so slow, and Ice-T really, like, you want to undulate to this, and it's just so good. It makes you want to move your body. That's why I'm like, this is the second favorite song on the album. It's just so good.
Again, like, thematically, I really like how it prioritizes the personal again.
Yes, once again,
another really
very
personal
confessional.
Song.
In fact, these three songs, God Please Believe Me, Walk With Me, and the next song, are all very confessional in different ways.
Yeah.
Whereas God Please Believe Me was sort of sad and like, oh, I just want to live in a happy life, I want to be forgiven. This song is very much like, I'm in pain, and just, if you guys have to understand me, this is how to understand my pain. And I really like that, which is why Randy Blythe does really well. He's got that guttural voice. Once again, like, he does the same thing Max Calavera.
Not quite guttural, but like...
Well, yeah, he's got that
low mid-scream.
Low mid-scream voice, which, like I said, I don't feel is as heavy as Max Calavera does.
Yeah.
But that's just because they have different voices, they have different styles, and I totally respect that. Randy Blythe is awesome. Lamb of God is awesome.
Yeah.
But I feel like this isn't as good as my favorite song on the album, which is featuring Max Calavera. But it has the exact same feel. It even has the third verse where Randy Blythe is going, which is why it's so funny that Randy Blythe growls or screams like 3 times faster than Ice-T raps. So I think it's kind of funny. The third verse rap is Randy Blythe in a scream. He's like just he's doing it's almost like a rap because he's just so fast to go along with that thrashy beat.
Yeah. Well, and it's great, the contrast in speeds, like the contrast between the hard hitting like super fast verse and the groove-tastic chorus. Like this song was just a perfect mesh of
this whole album. Should have the word juxtaposition written on it.
Well, and if according to Wikipedia, it has the labels of both thrash and groove metal, which oftentimes go together a lot.
Pantera is super into that sort of thing, and so it's just this song is great. Like I said, second favorite song on the album. Absolutely love it, and it's really. This and every song before this is really in contrast to the next song. The next song is just way out there.
Yeah.
And it is Here I Go Again. Not by Whitesnake, though.
Here I go again on my own.
Here I go again on my own.
To kill some people.
Yeah. Play it.
Another night I sit alone in the dark. I can't remember.
So, Here I Go Again, once again, not by Whitesnake, should be renamed, gosh, isn't Slayer great?
Yes. It's definitely, if they didn't already cover Slayer, this is an homage to Slayer. It's also another character story.
This is literally like it's a story. Like, this is very, very goofy almost in its story.
Yeah, it's like it makes me feel like I'm watching a little horror short film.
Well, the thing is, this song is really out of place with the rest of the album because it's so fantastical compared to the rest of the very political messages. And I found out because the words were originally from one of his rap studio albums that he was trying to put together. I assume he did put it together. I don't know rap enough to know that. But so he was like, that, and it's part of that gore rap thing or whatever I mentioned. I should look up what it's called.
Horrorcore.
And it really absolutely fits into that, and it fits right into metal, and that's why I said there's between heavy gangster rap and metal, it's right there, and Ice-T is right in the Venn diagram center, and he totally understands it, and this song proves it.
Yeah, but can we get to the main thing about the song though? Is that weird voice he's doing?
It's like he's doing a terrible impression of Dave Mustaine doing his sassy voice where he's just like, hello me, it's the other me. It's like Ice-T doing a terrible impression of that.
Except lower, I feel like.
Well, that's just Ice-T's voice is lower.
That's true. But this song is fun.
Oh yeah.
Fun is a weird word to describe this song. This is the only
fun song on the album.
Because it's just kind of, it's like a slasher flick.
It's not even like, it totally is. It's about a guy who goes around, grabs people out of the bushes, or breaks into their cars, or breaks into their house and murders them.
Yeah.
Literally he, describes it as, he at one point says, I bust a nut in my jeans, because the murdering is sexual to me. He says the phrase like killing is sexual to me in like the most awkward way possible.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like the song is so on the nose that it's winking at you. You know, it's like
and like with the Slayer references, which let's go through the Slayer references. I counted at least 3. It starts out with
the thunder,
like raining blood, as you all know,
which is odd because you think they just used that in Raining Blood.
Whatever. References. And then it makes a reference to taking someone's skin and having it. I don't think they don't say dead skin mask.
He
but
says
like,
dead skin and wear it to bed.
Yeah, wear the dead skin. Yeah, like a mask. And then the other one is in the last verse where he kills himself. Spoiler alert.
It is a story.
He references going south of heaven.
Yeah. And it's like I said, it's very much, he said his influences were Black Sabbath and Slayer. And this song is like...
Suicidal.
Yeah.
And Slayer.
Yeah.
You hear that the
most.
most.
In fact, this is if Tony Iommi wrote the riff, but was really bored that day, because there's not a lot to it. It's like, no.
Because they want you to listen to the lyrics.
And then Slayer wrote the words, but then Ice-T rapped them, I guess, or spoke them, I guess.
If Tony Iommi and Slayer got together to write a song for Ice-T.
Anyway, but it very much is in the vein of the... what's the song they wrote for like Dracula 2000 or whatever Slayer did?
Bloodline.
It's very much in Bloodline and Pride and Prejudice.
Except with less melody.
I know, but you get what I'm saying. It's very much sort of like that sort of slow, bloody, gross, classic sort of the more gory side of thrash sound. It's really obviously from that. And it's like the guy talks about like stabbing himself in the eye and how that's the greatest worst he's ever felt, and cutting his own like hand off and then cutting his throat with a straight razor. It's very
violent.
It's supposed to be like shock rap, shock metal.
If you were making a music video for this song, you'd have like the amount of blood like a Tarantino movie.
Oh, no. It's like, anyone ever seen Evil Dead? Sam Raimi, the guy chainsaws off his hand. It's that completely with the blood splatter everywhere and whatnot. It's exactly an over the top B horror movie made into music, which is kind of funny because that's how Corpse Grinder Fisher described making songs for Cannibal Corpse.
Yeah.
He was like
He wants them to be horror stories.
It's just a short horror story, and I love that. And that's exactly what this song is. It's completely self-aware. It knows it's being way too intense for itself. And I will say, though, that the chorus part of it is way too fuzzy and hard to understand. You can't... His words are really muffled. It's... Oh, yeah, and there's just randomly screams. Not metal screams.
Just...
Not growls, but just like someone's being murdered. And it makes sense, but it makes it very non-musical. And they're kind of placed in randomly, not with the beat or anything.
Yeah, so this song is fun, but a little musically odd.
It's very musically off, because I feel like... Because once again, the words were written for a rap album, and then applied to a metal album. Song.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird. So, but that being said, I really, really like this song in theory.
Yeah.
But musically, it's towards the bottom for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
that was a fun song.
That was the most unique song on the album. I would say it has a completely different theme than everything else, and that's why I kind of feel like if he did write a metal album without any political themes, it would be great because that was an experimental song. I feel, but
speaking of political themes
and murder,
let's move on to the next song. No Lives Matter.
We say that Black Lives Matter. What you believe?
Oh, No Lives Matter.
Yeah, this was the first single from the album.
Was it really?
I believe. Yes.
It's
if I recall listening to it before the album came out.
Which is interesting because I would say there's a lot of this song, which is still short. Almost all the songs in this album are like under 4 minutes or something, aren't they?
Yeah, they're all like most of them are around 3.5 minutes.
For a song that's only about 3.5 minutes.
Well, the song is 4.
4 exactly.
4-ish.
Okay, for a song that's that short for a metal song, you know what I'm saying. Dream Theater has their 10-minute long opuses.
For being a normal length song, it says a lot.
There's too much talking. It starts off with 40 seconds ish, maybe less.
Yeah, 40 seconds of
Ice-T just giving his opinion about the Black Lives Matter movement.
But the thing is, my big problem with that is that he says that in the song. The song says like. That's the theme of the song. I felt like he didn't need to give a speech about it beforehand because that's what the song says. It's like, you don't have... Like, we get your opinion on the topic. You don't have to say it before you music about it.
The album the album, which thing is every song has a sort of talked intro. Almost every song, except for the Randy Blythe one, which starts right into it at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
True.
Almost every song has a talked intro and a talked-ish bridge / output that's trying to prove a point. And it's fine, you know, there's the classic statement whenever you're writing an essay or whatever, which is, say what you're going to say it, and then tell them what you said. And my gosh, if this song doesn't have the essay structure.
Yeah.
Because
he wrote a really good SAT essay.
About...
And he would get into college.
He probably has an honorary degree. He probably has a degree, much less, I don't know.
Yeah.
But he might. I wouldn't be surprised if he had an honorary doctorate from somewhere and just doesn't go by it. Anyway.
Yeah.
But it starts off with way too much talking, but then the song gets really into it, and the pre-chorus...
There's 6 slide into the verse when he's finishing up his statement, and just... Wow.
The pre-chorus riff is what I would say is super moshable. It's
they can't fuck with us.
It's the most moshable riff on the album. It's like everyone's gonna be bouncing up and down, throwing themselves around. After,
like, the verse itself is pretty aggressive. His way of speaking, you can just tell how passionate he is about this, and how he's like, gosh, people are so stupid for not agreeing with me, and like, and then that anger builds up to the like drop of the pre-chorus.
And then he just goes like the no lives. He's talking about not just racism. He brings up it's
he goes he
multiple colors. He mentions
he brings up it's not just racism against blacks.
Classism.
It's racism against all minorities, and he goes the poor whites that they call trash. Yeah, and I'm like I was really glad that he includes like all minorities that are oppressed by
wealthy and whatnot.
Because.
We won't get into this. It's too political.
Yeah, we won't get into our political opinions, but...
He paints with a broad brush in a way that shows off his anger in a cool way. Yeah. That's really, really good.
Yeah, and it shows that he has a deep understanding of the issue and isn't just a blind supporter of the movement. It shows that he's thought about it a lot and really cares about bringing up all minorities.
Yeah, clearly, this is the most political song on the album, I would say, which is funny because we've already seen,
I mean, Black Hoodie's pretty political.
Well, we'll get to that. Yeah. But, so, this song, the only problem is it starts with about 40 seconds of talking, right? And then in the middle, there's a really long news report that just goes on and on and on. And this song, for being the first single, has, I would say, of its 4-minute running time, I would say at least a minute, if not more, is just, like, people talking and with no music.
Yeah, and the news report section could have been shorter or entirely deleted. I don't really think it adds anything.
Well, the thing is, I don't know. It could be. I doubt it is, but it could be an actual cutting from a news... Because it's one of those classic stories of where the police shot an unarmed black man, I believe. And it's supposed to emphasize the point. Absolutely,
and it supports his point.
It does, absolutely. But maybe if they'd taken cuttings from the news clipping and mixed them and sampled them into a song, it'd be better. But they just let it play. And so I would say, song-wise... This song is very confused. It's got some amazing riffs. Like I said, the pre-chorus riff is so awesome that I can't even think about the rest of the riffs in the song. I don't remember any of them because the pre-chorus riff is just right there in front of my brain.
I remember how the verse builds up really well to that. And I'd say the chorus is almost the weakest section because it's so wordy. Like, up until the point where, the instruments kind of drop out and he goes, no lives matter. Like, that part's great. The end of the last line of the chorus, but... up until then, it's just kind of too wordy. Like, I can't remember the whole chorus.
Well, the chorus, it's because the reason why you can't remember it is because it's got an entirely different key in the song. It's almost major. It's very melodic. It's got this sort of like sing-songiness to the riff underneath that, like, the rest of the is like like very sort of metal, and then that's like it's very soft, and it's like in your song about like the wealthy and the racists like killing people and no one getting away with it. I feel like you can't have the chorus riff be so soft. Yeah. But
yeah, I feel like they almost should have made the pre-chorus the chorus.
Absolutely.
They should have switched the parts around.
Yeah, the pre-chorus, like I said, but it's aggressively moshable. It's so good. That riff is great. One of the best on the album. It's just this song is good. It's great even. It's just very confused in its way of its form.
Yeah, but I'd say it starts and ends in a good place. And
I would say I don't like this. I think the song could have been either edited or something. The entire section news report should have been removed or just sampled.
I liked it a lot with reservations.
Yes, I will say that. Probably in my bottom 5 of the album. It's just it's too muddled to be a great song. It won't be remembered.
It's another one that gets lost in the message.
Yes, absolutely.
It definitely, like, it's an important message, and, like, good to have a song about.
We won't talk politically, but
the music gets lost in too many words.
Yes, absolutely. Which is why I like the next song. Just gets started right with the name, Bloodlust.
Since the beginning of time, humans have killed each other.
Bloodlust. It's good. Probably my fourth or fifth favorite song.
I like the song, yeah.
That being said, it starts off by making a scientific falsehood. It says that humans are the only only creatures who hunt for sport. And I'm like, bro, what about like dolphins?
Fucking dolphins, they're evil.
Dolphins are messed up. Google like scary dolphins. They're murderous and they're sexual predators and they're all kind of weird.
They're
creatures.
just like us.
They think no lives matter. Dolphins. Anyway.
Fucking dolphins.
But I would say right off the bat, this song shows its production in a bad way.
What do you mean?
This like verse riff or chorus riff, his chorus riff is dun 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 dun, and then when you look who the producer is, I can't remember his name.
Oh yeah, the producer is this guy, Will Putney.
And if you look him up, what are the bands that he almost exclusively, except for Body Count, produces?
He produced a bunch of metalcore, deathcore bands.
Yeah, like it's all like I Prevail or
and like the Amity Affliction, I think.
Yeah, maybe Icy Stars or stuff like that. Anyway, he produces the metalcore bands, and we all know metalcore is chugs and
breakdowns.
And that's what this song is incredibly. I almost feel like this was...
Except, I'd say, under the...
No. This is exactly the point, yeah.
Under the verse, there's this...
No, the verse has the most awesome, like, Phrygian dialect or Arabic or something.
Yeah, there's some sweet scale work underneath.
There's an awesome... And that's just the verse. Except the verse is also one of the greatest things of the track. It's more melodic-y metal-y than thrash, I would say. But it's just compared to, like, the chorus riff. The chorus riff is so... basic and so just chugs.
I wrote chugs with an exclamation point. But on the other hand, the chorus is very chantable. We got a sickness, bloodlust. Like, it's very like, if I were seeing Body Count live, which I would love to, like, I would be like yelling along with that.
Well, the thing is, this feels like the radio hit that wasn't.
Yeah, if they were to play Body Count songs on the radio.
Yeah, I feel like this totally has that going for it. It's easily chantable. It's got the chugs, which are easy to mosh or... what's it called? The metalcore moshing. What do they call it? Where they punch and throw their legs and arms around?
Hardcore dancing.
Hardcore dancing. Fudge that noise. This feels like the hardcore dancing song of this album. This feels like the get the youth involved sort of song. But I think that's a production problem. Like I said, I think that was the producer saying you have to have a song with chugs in it because that's how the youth want their metal these days.
Yeah.
And
despite that, I still like this song. I think it's got...
Oh, yeah, like I said, this is the fourth or fifth best song on the album. Yeah. This is really... It's much better than some.
And it makes a good point that kind of ties together different aspects of the album. It ties together the personal stuff and the political stuff, because it's saying, like, oh, it's an innate part of humanity to want to kill each other.
Yes. Well, no. Well, that's the whole point. This song is the...
I almost think it should have been the album ender.
Yes, I agree with you. If the album ender wasn't quite so poignant. This point, I feel like this song makes the point of the next song better. Which is just that humans are going to kill each other. It doesn't matter why. We can have all the reasons we want in the world, but they're going to do it.
It's almost stating the overall theory, whereas the next song, Black Hoodie, states an example of that theory.
Absolutely. It's the theory and then the practice is the next song. But all in all, I would say this song is one of the... Even though I like it the most, I think it's the most well-produced, it's probably the least memorable song on the album, except for the chorus that's chantable, because I just don't care about the riff, except for that lead. That lead's the only thing I like about it. So like I said, fourth or fifth best song.
And it's still, like, the problem in one of our previous songs with, like, the solo underneath the bridge of one of the earlier songs, is that this nice lead on the guitar is too quiet.
Yes,
underneath the words. Now, granted, if it were louder, it'd be a little harder to understand the words, so...
Once again, I think that's a producer thing, because they're, think of metalcore solos. Da-na-na-na,
yeah.
Da-na, and I feel like that producer was like, this solo should be like that. And that's kind of how it is. But maybe I'm wrong, maybe this is the way Body Count wanted it. If so, I think they need to go look at Slayer a little bit harder.
I mean, they're already looking at Slayer a lot.
Yeah, pretty hard, so that's why I'm confused by it, I guess. That's what I'm saying. But
still a good song.
But speaking about not confusion and getting your point straight across, Black Hoodie. That's an intense song, and here it is.
Yeah.
All these people out here tripping off the police through
I like the song.
This is the first song I ever heard from the album.
Okay.
Because I saw the music video. because I was
Yeah, it's
like,
one of the other singles.
see, this is what I thought was, because you told me, oh, Body Count's got a new album. It was just, this was months ago, I think.
Yeah, around the time it actually came out.
Yeah, you were like, oh, this Body Count's got a new album, and we didn't find out until much later. I don't know why.
We didn't actually listen to it much later, but we listened to this single.
This single and the video for it, which is Ice-T in like an abandoned warehouse with some friends in black hoodies. And this, I feel, like I said, this is the practical example of humans want to kill each other. It doesn't matter why. He's just a dude in a black hoodie and he gets murdered. And it's the story of several people who get that. Like, why did he run? I don't know. It gives a lot of the reasons why people, especially in the news recently.
Yeah, it gives examples of, like, you know, he was holding a banana in his pocket or something and somebody thought it was a gun.
I don't think that's quite what happened, but like a person ran maybe because they had unpaid parking tickets.
Yeah,
and they were
or just because of, you know, he mentions a lot of the being afraid of the police.
Yeah.
Because they don't protect the poor. Yeah. And so you want to run from the police, and that's why they might shoot somebody.
So I would say, with just Ice-T with no featuring artist, this is the most angry, shouted, like, obviously, I would say this is probably, in my opinion, the first song he wrote for the album, because it's just, it gets so to the point. It's so, how come just because someone wears a black hoodie, you can murder him and that's okay? And this is just, it's so true that, like, I almost, while watching him in the video, I'm shocked he's not, like, spitting and crying and just really going at it, because it's just, this is so real and angry. And I would say this song, like, it has, like, the thrashy lead is awesome. It's very bass driven. There's a whole...
Yeah, I was gonna say in the chorus that the bass really plays a upfront role.
Which is funny, because I wouldn't say that, like I said, the tone of this album was missing a lot of those heavier metal things, and once again, I think that was a metalcore production sort of issue. But this song really brings it out. It brings in the low end. It has an awesome thrashy lead tone. It's very
like,
fast.
I like in the section where it's the whoop whoop, and that's the sound of the police. Like that part, it's like there's a heaviness under the whoop whoop part.
So you know that's KRS-One. That's not them being featured. They have a song. It's called "That's the Sound of the Police." That's what that is. That's a sample.
Didn't realize that was...
Well, it's a sample cover of "The Sound of the Police." It's the sound of the streets. Whoop whoop. That's KRS-One. And I'm like, gosh, talk about throwing it back to your roots. He's like that early rap.
It makes sense because in the little talky intro of the song, like they all have, he says, "I've been talking about police brutality for 20 years." And it's like, yeah, that right on, you have.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, well, you totally feel like this is the point. Like I said, that's why I think this was the first song written. This is the point he's trying to make. Is like, I've been talking about it 20 years and nothing has changed. KRS-One has been talking about this and it still hasn't changed. And that's why this song just, the lyrics are great. For this song, they absolutely make the point. It does a really
good job of telling a story to make a point.
And so I would say that with the awesome riffs, this is a fast song. This is one of the fastest songs on the album, and they totally pull out everything. This whole song is the thrashiest.
I don't know if I'd say that.
And it's not the thrashiest on the album. I mean, like, it's the thrashiest. Like, it's very thrashy.
It is.
But I would say, like, this is definitely one of my top 3 songs. This is about, I don't know, third place. We'll get to it later.
Yeah.
But this song absolutely is great. It's undoubtedly, like, if you listen to the album, this will be one of your favorite songs. No doubt in my mind.
And there's a really good reason that it was one of the singles. It's because it just states the point. Like we said before, the previous song kind of stated, humanity as a whole, we are violent towards one another, and he goes... And then this one is like, here's the example of how that violence is affecting us every day. Yeah.
So in the end, this is the last song on the album. It's like I said, 41 minutes, you said?
It's 40-ish.
Okay. And gosh, just what a point to end on. It's so poignant and so angry and so purposeful.
And it ends with a gunshot sound.
Yeah. You will remember this track.
Yeah.
Most, I think. And that's all I have to say. This is super memorable.
It's a great track. Yeah.
So, we've gone through every track. What would you say are your top 3s?
My top 3 songs, Walk With Me, definitely one of my top 3. I would put that as number 1.
Really?
Yeah, and then I'd say All Love Is Lost is one of my other favorites, and Black Hoodie is my third favorite. I don't know whether I like Black Hoodie or All Love Is Lost more. I don't know. They'll tie for a second.
Okay, so undoubtedly All Love Is Lost is the heaviest song on the album, in my opinion. With that, like, the deep guttural screaming and Ice-T just sounding really angry. So it's number 1, All Love Is Lost. If you go and listen to any song from this album, even if you don't like rap, if you just like metal, if you like Sepultura, if you like it, just listen to this song. It'll throw you off. You'll be like, whoa, this is great. And maybe you'll get into Ice-T that way.
Yeah.
Second is Black Hoodie. Because, oh my gosh, that song is awesome.
Yeah.
All it's missing, in my opinion, is just it needs a long, thrashy solo. Like this needed the Dave Mustaine solo. This is the song that needed it. And then third is Walk With Me, because it's just elevated by Randy Blythe. It's really personal to Ice-T, it sounds like. It's absolutely metal and rap. Like this is a rap metal album. And it really feels
I think it really, like, you know, it's a small genre, but, like, rap and metal can go so well together because they both, like, especially, like, gangster rap. Like, it's got the aggression.
The true anger.
Yeah. And the, like, there are real issues to be mad about, and I'm so angry about it. And
see, here's the thing. Limp Bizkit was never and will never be angry.
Yeah. If you think Limp Bizkit is rap metal, you're...
Well, I mean, technically they are.
Technically they are, but they're, like, the worst example of rap metal.
Yeah.
You know? Like... when you have good bands like Body Count or like Rage Against the Machine or like this new band I just heard of called Censor. They're not new. I just heard of them and they're great.
Anyway, but like I was saying, this song will convince you that rap metal is good or that you should start listening to it. So I would say I definitely recommend this album.
Yeah, I would also recommend it. I think well, maybe we should say that at the end what the score would be, but.
I know, but I would tell my friends about this. I would recommend this online. I would do everything. This album, it's not well produced, I would say. I think often like the vocals and the instruments fight for attention. That's true. Often the lead guitar is muffled.
There should have been more solos.
Oh, absolutely. Well, this thing is just, it's missing a lot of traditional thrash metal-y stuff. And maybe I'm limiting it by thinking of it as a thrash metal, but if you feature Dave Mustaine and you play a song by Slayer and you state that those are your inspirations, thrash metal is what you're going to be labeled.
Yeah, I think Wikipedia labels them thrash, groove, and rap metal, which is accurate.
Yeah, 100%. So my biggest problem, one of my biggest problems with this album is that the Dave Mustaine song is not that great. And I thought it would.
I liked that song a lot, except for that song, like in my it made me go Slayer because they use the drums use the classic Slayer beat. It's like, oh, you gotta bring that up, and it's like that happens on several songs. I'm like Slayer, and it's like clearly they love Slayer.
Well, see, that's my problem. Is why didn't they? I know it's because no one in Slayer is a nice person apparently.
Yeah.
But I'm shocked they wouldn't bring in. I'm sure. Kerry King would have shown up on this album if they'd have asked.
Gary Holt might have.
Oh, I mean, Gary Holt's not representative of classic Slayer that he's inspired by. But my point is, like, for how much they love Slayer, I thought they would bring in a Slayer member, but instead they brought in Megadeth member. And I love Dave Mustaine. And the problem is, his solo outshines every other riff, every other solo, every other lead on the album. And that's why that song isn't very good to me. Because it's just, all right, Dave Mustaine is here. Dave Mustaine, do your Dave Mustaine thing.
Doing Mustaining.
Yeah, Dave Mustaine.
He Mustaines the album.
He leaves his Mustaine all over. Yeah. And so that's my problem with that track. I kind of wish it was just like a promotional EP sort of deal.
Would you say that's the worst track on the album?
No, I would say that, if we're doing opposite, what we think the worst track is, I think the worst track is probably the Ski Mask Way. Yep. It's super repetitive. It's super boring. They say the same words a million times, and just the riff isn't interesting. It's just it's boring. And on the thrash, groove, and rap metal, those three categories, boring shouldn't enter a word. But I think the Ski Mask Way is the most boring song.
See, I think I said my least favorite is Here I Go Again, just because it sounded like I love the story in it. It's fun, but I just feel like it didn't fit in with the album well enough.
Oh, undoubtedly.
And the voice he was using kind of like is unpleasant to listen to me.
I would say absolutely.
But I like the story.
Absolutely, it does not fit. You could pluck it from this album, and then the whole album would be more cohesive. Mm-hmm. But that being said, that's kind of why I like it. It throws you off. It gives you something different. Well, the thing is, this whole album is all politically charged stories about Ice-T's youth, about his
past
interactions
and
with the police,
the issues he cares about,
his political issues.
Yeah.
And that song is kind of like, what if we just abandon all this for pure like fantasy? And I'm like, thank you. Let's pull back for a moment, and let me take a break. And that's why I liked it.
But this album already has a break with the cover Raining Blood, you know? I
guess. Well, but that's a cover, and covers are always an extra. You know, when they release a special edition of an album, usually that comes with a cover or it comes with some test thing. So the fact that your less than an hour long album for metal and one of the things is a cover. Kind of iffy to me. So
but I do like I really like how the overall theme of the album of like just innate human violence is portrayed, and it goes from the way overall, like, just straight up description of that theme, Bloodlust, the title track, to the very personal level and everything in between. I really like, it has good cohesion, I'd say.
Oh, yeah.
It's really...
Absolutely, this is an awesome album. The songs, I feel, kind of don't exist in a vacuum. They don't exist by themselves. That you have to... If you're going to listen, you have to listen to the album.
Yeah.
You can't
and
just...
you really should. I would recommend listening to
You can't just listen to the singles from this because they kind of lose strength as they disconnect from one another.
I'd say that a little bit, but if these songs come up on shuffle, like, I definitely won't skip them. Yeah.
Once again, if you're going to just listen to one song, I recommend... All of Is Lost or Black Hoodie.
The song I'd recommend depends on where you're coming from. For me, if you're coming from a metal, you're a pure metalhead background, I'd recommend Walk With Me, because it's the most screamy, it's the most, like, fast and thrashy, and then groovy in the chorus. Like, if you're coming from, I only like metal, listen to that song. But if you're coming from, I prefer the, like, gangster rap stuff, I'd say Black Hoodie would be the first one to listen to.
And I 100% agree with you. Absolutely. Except I would say All Love Is Lost. Because it's better screamed. I don't think Randy Blythe pulled his A game.
You just don't like Randy Blythe's voice as much, though.
That's true. But we'll review a Lamb of God album one of these days.
Yeah.
And
we'll get to that. We say that a lot.
So, honestly, I would say this album is great. If you want to scale rate it, you can.
Yeah,
I'd give this album probably a 7.
Dang it, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, because it's worth listening to. It's not the best Body Count album. They definitely have a lot more fun on their other albums.
Mm-hmm. But I think with like recent events that happened, he wanted to make a serious album.
Yes, this is an album with a purpose.
Yeah. And
that kind of reduces its grade for me.
Yeah, well, yeah, the message getting in the way of the music makes this not a 10, you know?
However, go listen to it. You'll have a good time. You'll have a terrible time because it's really, really sad.
It brings up some heavy subjects, but it'll make you think and you'll bang your head, you know.
Even if it's against a wall because you're so sad.
Yeah.
All right. So that's us done reviewing and criticizing because everybody's a critic, including us. Bye-bye.